Hi there, Armchair Aviators. Welcome to another edition of AvGeek Week with me, Rich Cooper from Co-op Online, show that brings together all of the latest news and interesting stuff that's out there in Planet AvGeek that's still happening, all into one place. Appreciate that not everyone's on social media, and that especially now can be a pretty tricky place to absorb all the news that's happening in this particular industry. Yet news is still out there, and I've brought it all together in one bite-sized chunk of AvGeek awesomeness. This particular snack for you is the headlines from the commercial aviation scene, covering the latest from the manufacturers, the airlines, and of course air travel as a whole. Brace yourself. Here we go then on AvGeek Week and the commercial aviation industry. Crazy times for this industry at the moment, isn't it? I mean, it's the absolute epitome shown here by the Boeing and Embraer split. This sort of $4.2 billion deal, which Boeing and Embraer would have seen the US giant purchase the commercial aircraft division of the Brazilian manufacturer. It's totally and spectacularly fallen apart. Quotes like unsatisfactory conditions, wrongly terminated, all trust was lost, flying around in the wake of this split. Boeing obviously looking to enter the regional jet market by purchasing the Embraer types. Alas, it's not going to happen, and it hasn't ended well at all. Obviously, Boeing as well has had its fair share of issues with the Boeing 737 MAX, and the way that's affected the company as a whole, especially the profitability and the bottom line, must have surely had a major impact on this deal. It has not ended well. Another split, this time the partnership between the Rolls-Royce and Airbus to develop the electric-powered aircraft has been shelved, so not actually a split as such, but certainly a joint project that is no longer taking place. The EFAN-X, which is based on the RJ100, was going to bring about a new era of electric-powered aircraft. However, all is not lost. They are going to carry on ground testing of the project, but certainly we will not be seeing that aircraft in the air. Airbus itself has announced that it will cut production rates by 30%. Its A320s are going to drop from 60 to 40 a month, the A350 from 10 to 6, and just 2 from the A330 per month. CEO Faury said, "We're ramping down to protect the balance sheet of the company." I think we can all relate to that statement. British Airways has announced that it may lay off up to 12,000 staff. A memo has also been leaked saying that it may not reopen Gatwick Airport after COVID has finished. Virgin itself is now up for sale. Government bailout talks are still ongoing, $500 million, and the airline has been given until the end of May to find a fresh investment or face collapse. It's understood to be around 6 potential investments in buying the airline. Very complicated situation with Lufthansa. Now, the German flag carrier's current position is somewhat complicated. It's refused state aid, yet filed for bankruptcy, and its chief exec has been quoted as being unhappy with the government control, saying where it can and cannot fly from and to. And this obviously affects other airlines. The industry now is so close-knit, everyone owns everyone else, right? So the uncertainty of how one flag carrier will actually affect another flag carrier in a totally different country. So, for example, Lufthansa owns Austrian Airlines. It'd be very nerve-wracking to see what happens there, because Austrian Airlines are applying for its own state aid, and we'll wait and see what happens with that. But if it doesn't get it and it goes into liquidation, or something happens with that, as with any other flag carrier, then the owner airline will also be affected. So it's just so wide-ranging. Talking of Austrian, it's been one of the few airlines to actually be brave enough to put its crystal ball together and see what it thinks is going to happen in the future. It's going to come up with some fleet retirement plans. It's going to withdraw its A319s early, cut its 737 fleet in half, and withdraw its initial Dash 8s as well. The airline leadership has added that it expects to drop in demand of 50% to show this year, and it will not return to 75% until the end of 2021. And any kind of pre-COVID levels will not be seen until the end of 2023. That's a long time to wait. Some real quick snippets. Ryanair's cutting 3,000 jobs. The second Boeing 777X has completed its first flight. Aeroflot has issued vouchers for cancelled flights that are valid for 3 years. What will happen in 3 years' time? Wizz Air is setting up a new hub at Lvov in Ukraine. So it's an interesting expansion at this time. American has posted a $2.2 billion loss for the first quarter of the year. Berlin Tegel Airport may not reopen again, ever, after closing on the 1st of June. There's real rumours around that. Singapore and Lufthansa A380s now being parked, and most of the Norwegian fleet is likely to remain grounded until 2021. In terms of the industry as a whole, the industry body ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, has released the first complete passenger forecast for the year. Headlines being that the airlines may see 1.5 billion fewer international travels than 2019. Then the international seat capacity may drop by 3/4 of 2019 levels. is predicting a $273 billion loss for the industry wide. So what is the future going to look like? What are we going to be faced with in airline travel in the future? So it certainly looks like more and more airlines are insisting on crew and passengers wearing PPE, the masks, etc. Middle seats may become free in a bid to uphold social distancing. And some Far Eastern airlines are actually giving the passengers the option to buy 8 seats on one ticket. Quite incredible. You don't get the baggage allowance or anything else, but you can buy all 8 seats all around you. There's also new seat designs, entire new concepts being looked into. This one shown here from Avion Interiors of Italy, showing transparent shields between the passengers. Talking of a stormy industry, the Aero News Global on Twitter broke a story on the Qatar Airways A350 going through an incredible storm at Doha this week. Just check this out. I mean, the desert storms, goodness me, there's a phrase, desert storms, but oh my life, look at it moving now. It's quite incredible. The force that must have been present on that. This is a CCTV footage from Doha Airport, and it skids across the apron right across into the other aircraft. Just waves and waves of water and wind. It's incredible. The force that's maybe needed to move that. I wonder whether there's some new chocks that need to be designed for it. Scary stuff. It's now actually touching the airliner next to it. Goodness me. Turkish pride. Turkish Airlines created the world's largest national flag in the sky this week to celebrate the country's national sovereignty and Children's Day. You can watch it on Flight Radar 24 as well as some great behind-the-scenes footage on the Turkish Airlines YouTube channel. And how do you know this world's scary and crazy? Well, if you see a Cessna 172 practicing touch and goes at not only New York's JFK Airport, but LaGuardia as well as Newark. And talking of crazy, Boeing has actually said that it may resume 737 MAX deliveries in the third quarter of this year. Who knows? Thanks for watching.